Welcome. Having mic and connection issues, so apologize for that. Hopefully that will get straightened out. Just in time for the show to start, too. That's the way it always goes. Today's show, we will talk Vanderbilt football, the upcoming game with Missouri, and I'm joined by Seabass, who is going to be a regular on this show once again. Welcome back, my man.
Oh, it's great to be here, man. Had a blast last week, breaking a little rust off and ready to do these things again, man. Looking forward to it. And the best part is, not only do we have plenty to talk about, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we do. Let's hope the internet connection holds up. That has not been an issue here lately or for the last year, but it's popped up a little bit here and there the last week or so. All right, before we get into all that, reminder, we are brought to you in terms of our football coverage by former Vanderbilt kicker Joe Bulovas with Bulovas Wealth Management of Raymond James. If there is one thing that we all share, it is that our lives are unique and we're celebrating because financial planning isn't just about numbers and figures. It's about creating the life you envision. So whether you are building a future or preparing for retirement, a Raymond James financial advisor can guide you each step of the way, all while following a plan that is uniquely yours. That's life well planned. To learn more, call financial advisor Joe Bulovas with Bulovas Wealth Management of Raymond James. That number 615-645-6742. Raymond James and Associates, member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC. Basketball season is presented by the Wash House. Hey, Commodore fans, don't waste your weekend stuck doing laundry when you could be cheering on the Doors. At the Wash House Laundry Center, we've got your back with our brand new pickup and delivery service. We will pick it up, fold it, drop it back off, fresh, clean, and game day ready. Perfect for busy students, fans, and Nashville families on the go. Schedule your pickup now at washhouseclean.com and anchor down with the Wash House Laundry Center. Steve Andrews, a generous sponsor of this show, good friend of mine. So if you see him out and about in your business with the Wash House, tell him you appreciate his sponsor of the show. He's one of the best human beings I know. Looking for a sponsor for baseball season? So reach out to me at chrislee70@gmail.com if you are interested in that. All right, my man, thank you for joining us. I've got some topics I wanted to hit on today, but I'm going to turn the mic to you first to just get your thoughts on where you want to start. By the way, nice title there on your under your name patch. You slipped that by me.
What is it? All I see is Seabass. What does it say?
Yeah, it's got something else under it too. Well,
honestly, if what it is, I can't see it from where I am. I swear to you, I don't know what it says.
Oh, I'll tell you after the show.
Is it bad? Do I need to?
It's not R-rated, but it's PG-13. I'll put it that way.
Well, I see.
I can't text it to you right now.
I did not type that. What did you?
I didn't do it.
Y'all, on everything that I've got, I swear I would not do that. I mean, that sounds like something that I would say, but if I type that, that is.
I should have known that because, like, you're lucky to be able to turn on a computer.
Do you see me turning red? I swear to you.
Yeah, I believe you. You're many things, but you're not a liar.
Say what I think it says.
It says what you think it says.
And the thing about it is, Chris, that's the name of Bob is the name of my dog.
Right.
I don't know why that says that right there, but good grief, I'm embarrassed. We might as well do a podcast because that's going to be the whole topic right there.
Well, this will be on audio, and they won't know what they missed here. Maybe they shouldn't, but yeah, whoever set you up with your tech, you might get them to fix that for next time.
I think that's what happened. My tech guy, he would set this up, and I'm in his office right now, and I think he may have been messing around with me because there's zero chance I would write that on there for your show.
Yeah, this man, like I said, you're one of the smartest people I know. You're also like bottom 5 on the list if I had to ask anybody for help with tech. So,
man, I remember how to set up Atari. That would be about it, man. I am truly embarrassed here. I'm sorry. Just a couple of things real quick before we get into the football talk. Do I have this right? Are the men have an exhibition tonight at UAB. Is that right? Did I read that correctly?
That is correct.
I tell you what, Chris, did you get to go to the Birmingham Bowl? Did you go to that game? I was there.
No, we were coming back. We do either Thanksgiving or Christmas with my in-laws in Colorado, and that was Christmas. So we were actually on an airplane. My son just about threw a fit because he was having trouble getting it on his iPad, and so we landed about the time that they broke that game open late in the third quarter or whatever it was. Remember they had that flurry of score, maybe a turnover.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
we were landing. So
the reason I
anyway.
brought that up is because when I was there at the bowl game, right beside the stadium is now, with all love in the world to Nashville, I love the 615. They're the birthplace, I think, of Nashville hot chicken, but they did not perfect it. Eugene's hot chicken in Birmingham, right beside the stadium, did. If you were at the bowl game and you went there, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I always said that, so if somebody's headed down there tonight, if you're heading down to Birmingham, maybe you pick me up a half bird with mac and cheese if you don't mind, but definitely check it out yourself. It is fantastic. And so Eugene's, if you're in Birmingham tonight going to that exhibition, Eugene's, and I have somebody who would be glad to sponsor your baseball segments coming up. I think maybe Tony Vitello might be interested in that.
I'm pretty sure Tony Vitello is not going to be sponsoring anything I'm associated with. But
you might be right about that. Yeah, I've had a thing or two. That was so crazy.
Yeah, that was something. I think
I'll just say one thing about that. We had a lot. I mean, that was the entire show last night. Of course, there's a lot of Tennessee fans here. Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of Tennessee fans here in West Tennessee, and they magically started loving baseball all of a sudden. Remember when they didn't care about it at all, when we were winning it all? Now they care about it. And, it was interesting. And they were saying, well, this is all about them giving NIL money with the Lady Vols basketball. And he kind of ran askew with Danny White. But my contention was, if that was the motivating factor here, wouldn't he just go take another college job and rub it in Danny White's face and beat him? Well, I mean, why would you go to do something nobody has ever had the opportunity to do and go to the pros? If you really wanted to stick it to Danny White, you go to somewhere else in major college baseball and really make him feel this thing. Nobody's going to care if it's in San Francisco managing the Giants.
I think that one's a little more complicated, and I also think he's been you heard it a couple of years ago, he was kind of wanting to maybe have a chance to manage in the majors. I think that was a thing that was out there. But yeah, there was definitely something going on with he and his boss. I don't think they were great friends with one another.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm ready to go. Whatever you got, if you want to talk a little bit about what happened last week or what's coming up this Saturday, you fire away. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to spend too much time reviewing LSU. I don't want to hit it a little bit. I mean, we're, five days out from the game now. But you mentioned Birmingham. They're going to postseason this year. I'm pretty sure that's not where they're going back to.
No. And now we have to start asking ourselves big questions, though I don't think it's going to come down to that. But we have to start asking ourselves things like, if this is an 8-win regular season team, is that a disappointment of a season? Just based on where we're at right now and the possibilities that lay ahead. If they were to go 8-4, that would be 2-3 down the stretch. And as great as an 8-win regular season would be, even making a appearance in the top 10, I think most of us would be fairly disappointed by that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you win one or two more games, it is absolutely a success from the perspective of the start of the season. I cannot believe I'm saying this, and I don't know that I believe it, but it feels like not making the playoffs now would be a disappointment. And I think they're good enough to get there. We're going to find out.
I do too.
I think the Saturday will be a big test. But, I mean, if you have been watching them play football all year and just watching the way they have controlled the lines of scrimmage at important times, except for that Alabama game, I mean, when I started suspecting week 2 and week 3 that they had a much, much better team than anybody thought they might, I mean, that just the way they played in the trenches then really shifted my expectations.
Yeah, I'll tell you, for me, And mine was somewhere around in there as well. And I'm at the point now where I've stopped tempering expectations. My expectations are extremely high. They are valid. This team has proven that. And even, I mean, let's just tell the truth. We all believed it, but we all had those little apprehensions that are, still hiding somewhere in the cavern of 30 and 40 and 50 years of following the team, however long you've been supportive of them. And so you still had that, just the residuals there. Well, what if this happens again? But then you watch this team, you watch them play LSU. It wasn't accidental. This is supposed to be a very good defense. They put up more points than anybody else has all year. They rake up 400 yards, and they control the tempo of the football game. And you start thinking to yourself, okay, all those old ways and all the things that the reservations that we all had, they started melting away a little bit. So when we come into a game like this Saturday, and by the way, I have immense respect for Missouri. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between these two teams. And I really respect them a great deal. But to borrow a phrase from Woody Ball, and I hate to do it, but I'm going to have fun. And Chris, I expect to win. I expect to win the next 5 games.
I don't know who I'd pick against. I mean, I don't know who I'd pick to beat them right now. Tennessee is the one that I'm kind of going, okay, I could see that for a number of reasons. And we're just too far out from that game to know what that's going to look like for both teams, right? Like, I mean, I hate to say, Diego could go down and then the season's different, or they could, they've got injuries at DB. They could get more injuries. They could, not have playoffs to play for by that game.
Right.
There's just so many combinations that they could be not have playoffs to play for, but be motivated to kill Vanderbilt's season. I mean, if that's even a thing anymore, with in the portal era, I just don't know. That one to me is a complete and total wild card.
I'll do it like this. I'll put it to you like, let's pretend we live in a world in which we haven't played LSU yet. Okay. Where would you put LSU among, so at that point we'd have 6 games left, not 5. Where would you rank LSU amongst the other 5 teams that we have left?
Okay, I'm going to go toughest to easiest. I think I would go Tennessee right now just because of the venue and the potential spot. Don't know, but just, that's going to be tough to win in Knoxville, right, especially if anything's at stake for either team.
For sure.
Not that they can't.
No doubt.
I think Missouri next. I think I can't make up my mind LSU or at Texas. I know that's on the road, but I've watched Texas play. I'm sure you've watched Texas play.
Sure.
I see the computers have them in the top 10. I watch them. I do not get it. I get their defense as elite, but they cannot move the ball. And I think, to me, when I'm really stuck on what do I think about you as a team, if you don't have a quarterback that I can trust, and you can't be counted on to make plays at the right time, which I think that's what Vanderbilt does the best. And I don't think it always quantifies in the stats, because I think in the moment they're usually, whatever it says on paper about how effective and efficient they are, they take it up a half notch. Texas takes it down, I think, 2 notches. So I don't know if I'd go LSU or Texas. Probably LSU just because it was home, or probably Texas 3, or Texas 2, then LSU, then Auburn, then Kentucky. I think that's how I'd go. What do you think?
I think that's probably about right. But if you consider, let's just say it again, in a world in which I'll change it up on it. We have played LSU. Of the 5 remaining quarterbacks, we've played the best quarterback we're going to play, I think, of those. We've already done that. We've played more than likely.
Him or Aguilar, and it depends on the day. Like, I don't know that Aguilar can play much better than Nussmeier did Saturday, but that was better than he's played most of the year.
Agreed,
which makes what they did more impressive, I think. But
I agreed, but once I start bringing in other variables like the totality of each one of those teams, I think the LSU defense is better than Tennessee's to mitigate any type of difference between Nussmeier and Aguilar. So
Yeah.
I think we've played the best team we're going to play, unless it's Missouri. I think I really look Missouri to me is clearly the best team that we have left at home for sure. That I have no doubt.
I think they're the best team they have left.
Maybe overall.
Now, home to away is like a 5 to 6 point flip. So if they're close, then obviously the road game becomes more difficult.
Yeah, for sure. And Vanderbilt, for the most part, this season has been able to set the tone in all these games, even on the road. Now, that didn't end up working that way in Tuscaloosa, but that didn't have anything to do with the crowd. That had to do with doing the things we haven't done all year, and that's turn over the football in key situations. So, we could say those were crowd related, but they weren't. They weren't. They said they just weren't. We just did something we don't normally do. So I feel great about our chances. Now, the one thing I was talking with somebody about on the air the other day, I said, look, question is, do we want to go? The only way I want to go to the SEC championship is if we're an 11-1 team. Now, I understand most people's argument are going to be if you're in the SEC championship, then you are already in the CFP. But I submit to you, I have no interest in taking a chance on a 10-2 team that goes into the thing, but loses the thing and now becomes a 3-loss team. How many 3-loss teams made the CFP last year?
None.
But
there also was not a 3-loss team, or was there?
I don't think
championship loser. Okay, ACC, SMU, and Clemson, both of them went.
Right. Do you remember the loser in that game was SMU?
Yeah, and SMU, that was its second loss.
Right. That was only their second loss. I don't want to take that. Don't get me wrong. I want to play the SEC championship. I'd love to win it. It's great. But I don't know. There's just something in me that says if I can't get to the SEC championship as an 11-1 team, I'd rather just skip that altogether, because here's what I do know for certain. An 11-1, a 10-2 Vanderbilt who doesn't play in the SEC or 11-1, they're going. They're going. Now, 11-1, you're definitely playing in the SEC championship. But at 10-2, and maybe that's the paranoia in me, but I don't want to take the chance of somebody having an opportunity to keep us out of it.
Okay, last year SEC was what? Texas and Georgia, both teams went. Why am I getting the Big Sky scoreboard here? Let's see. Who did Arizona State beat?
Kansas State. You talking about in the
Okay.
Big 12 championship? If I remember correctly, it was a great game. Kind of introduced the rest of the country to Cam Scadaboo, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think it was, or was it Iowa State? It was.
I'm looking this up. It's just taking me a minute. Might have been Iowa State, actually. Okay. Big Ten, you had 2-loss Penn State made it. Undefeated Oregon, of course, won the game and went. 2 losses, Georgia and Texas, both of them. 10-3 Clemson, the winner, so it made it over 11-2 SMU.
So, yeah.
Right.
They punched their ticket in. So
yeah, Iowa State 45-19 loser against Arizona State did not make it, and then everything else is group of 5. So Iowa State would be your worst case scenario, was ranked 16th coming into the game. But I don't think they're as good as this team. I don't think beat as many. I can't believe you're having this conversation 5 weeks out, but
what we are. So I can. It's time to embrace that. It's kind of like what Clark said in his press conference the other day. I'm tired of that old narrative. So I'm doing my best to wash and scrub that away, because mine goes 50 years deep, and said many of you have that same story. But I mean, I like what he says. He rejects that narrative, all the old things.
Yeah.
He looks and talks about what's in front of this program. So I'm doing my best to do that every day. It's not been easy, but they make it easier with every game we play.
Yeah. Anywhere else we want to go on that topic, or do we want to rewind to LSU for a minute?
I'll just take a look at LSU for just a second. It was, look, at the end of the day, and I rewatched the game today. It was on this afternoon on a replay, and it was exactly what I thought. Look, the better football team won this game. That's just all there is to it. And, we'll remember that Alabama game last year with Diego Pavia that really kind of got this ball rolling, the catalyst that in the Virginia Tech game. I'm not prepared to say that this was Diego Pavia's masterpiece, but good grief, he was as impressive as he's ever been to me.
Yeah,
some of the things that he did.
You can't pick a lot of faults other than maybe that fourth and whatever that went wrong where he got an 8-yard sack. And I'd have to go back and watch that play and, but that's about all I've got.
But boy, did he atone for that with that other fourth down play. I mean, MK Young, and I have no idea how he contorts his body. And that time when Harold Perkins crashed the edge and Diego just, I mean, not only did he make a beautiful move, then sprints out and beats now. That Harold Perkins would never ever want to play Vanderbilt again. I can tell you that because they kind of exposed him on a few things, and he's a tremendous athlete. And it really wasn't so much that he was so far out of position because usually he can make up for that if he is. But Diego just kind of made him look foolish at times. And I'm going to tell you something. It was a play. There was 2 plays that really just said to me, this dude right here. You remember the one when he leapt like Superman, trying to get trying to get to the sticks? I mean,
Yeah.
what did he say? What does that say? You watch your quarterback do that as a player out there on that field. Watch what he's willing to do. What will you not do to try to match that? And then, of course, the play that iced it where he could have easily walked into that end zone, made it a 2-touchdown score, makes us look even more dominant, helps increase his Heisman Trophy potential status. And he had such awareness of the game and the situation that it was right there that he stopped and put on the brakes and went down at the 2-yard line. And Chris, if we were to poll the audience and say, what percentage do you think of starting quarterbacks in major college football would not have went into the end zone? It would be a very low number. Most of them would have dove or leapt or flipped right into the end zone to celebrate. But he understood the situation that if he did that, though it would be a minuscule probability, that would have given LSU life. Yeah. Life support maybe, but life nonetheless. But when he went down, that ball game, as Jesse Palmer said, was 100% over.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of NFL guys would have probably scored on that too.
Yeah, no doubt. And just a couple other things that I saw from that game. One, and I hope that it is something that we continue with, and that is the use of Cole Spence to do more things. I mean, he's a tremendous blocker. There's no doubt about that. But some of the efforts that he made to lay out and made beautiful catches. And I'm going to tell you right now, most defensive coordinators have to every now and then prepare for one tight end to do something to them. Vanderbilt has the best tight end in America. And now you throw Cole Spence and the use in there to him. So when you start preparing for that, because last week was the first time we really saw that out of the Vanderbilt offense, getting Cole involved that much. So if you're going forward, if you're Missouri, you're Auburn, Kentucky, Texas, Tennessee, you're looking at this and say, well, what happens if 16s is a huge part of this passing game too? So we're going to have to give something to keep that from happening, right?
Yeah, and I was going to ask you what your concerns are. Talking about the tight ends kind of brought to mind. They haven't gotten a lot out of the receivers the last couple of weeks. I mean, Richardson just kind of disappeared. He dropped the ball. It wasn't an easy catch, but it was catchable. Cheryl's been kind of quiet. Gosh, I don't even know who their third best receiver is. And like, not that they're bad. And again, it's kind of with the asterisk because of who your tight ends are. But you would like if you're going to pick nits, you would like to see a little bit more. Hudson's just disappeared.
He's not really getting the reps there at that point. But I would say this: we say junior, but he really wasn't targeted in that game. Wasn't necessary, right. But he was coming off a 3-touchdown game not so long ago. So I mean, there's not an issue there with either one now. And the one with Trent, I mean, look, I would have loved for him to catch that. That would have just been so poetic, but. That's an over-the-shoulder catch like that in a tough situation.
That was a perfectly thrown ball. I mean, that was right in front of us on the press box.
Plus, you've got the boundary just a few feet in front of him, and it's like, okay, how close am I to that? This is over the shoulder. This thing clinches it. I'm not going to get on him too much for that. He made a terrific return in the return game that certainly helped with them. I'm not worried about anybody. It looks to me more like it's a whose turn is it this week type of deal.
Yeah. And that's
You
fair,
know,
which
there's a
is a
lot of
much
mouths to
different.
feed. There may not be a ton of superstars on there, but there's a lot of mouths to feed still at the end of the day. And it seems like it's somebody different every week. And, frankly, as long as the dubs keep coming, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, biggest concerns with Missouri. They're what?
About Missouri?
Yeah, about the matchup.
Well, yeah. If we were to, they run that stretch to perfection, and if our defensive line does not play well, that could be a problem. I don't think there's any question about that. But they've kind of been sewn up a little bit the last couple of games. Now having said that, they were playing Alabama and Auburn, who are fairly good
Yeah.
defensively. And Alabama, a couple going into the Vanderbilt game, Alabama was actually 90th against their run, but they have figured a few things out since then. And they've kind of shored that up. And Auburn, it's
Yeah.
crazy because Hugh has always been known for these high scoring track meets. And now when you play Auburn, what's the expectation? 17-10, 13-10, 16-13, something like that. And it just gets kind of ugly. And they've kind of bottled Missouri up a little bit there. That's the thing that I think Vanderbilt absolutely has to do, because if they do that, I like Bo Prabula, but there's one thing about Bo Prabula that is very bad for Missouri, and he has a nasty little habit of giving it to the other team, throwing it to the other team. I think, what is it, 7 interceptions I think he has.
Yeah.
Right now, that's way too high right there, especially for a quarterback who has the leading rusher in the country or right there at it. That should be child's play for him. And it's kind of is what it is. But if we stop that run, I start looking at, I don't know, they got Norfleet and what's the big receiver?
Marquise Johnson and Keon Coleman or Kevin Coleman.
Coleman's the one that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, those guys. But man, if you can force Prabula into some mistakes here, I really like Vanderbilt's chances here.
Yeah, I do too. I think the front seven is a concern for me. And Jordan asks, every week we're playing the best defense. Is this really the best? I mean, hey, it's Alabama's was the best defense they faced to that point. LSU's was better. Missouri, LSU, take your pick. Probably LSU, but with no weeks, maybe not.
Yeah, plus they were missing one of their defensive linemen too in that game.
Yeah,
LSU.
yeah,
Well.
and back to oh, good grief. Well, anyway, there was a thought there. It's gone. I don't think it was very important. So,
and so for Missouri, yeah, we keep talking about that front seven, Wood, Wilson, some of those guys. Look, they're terrific. That's Missouri keeps good defensive linemen and front seven. That's almost always the case. That's nothing new. They had that last year, and we still only won that game in Como. This is a better version of Missouri than last year, but it's a much better version of Vanderbilt than last year. And I thought that they did. I went back and watched the replay, and I thought they made a very good point about this. And they said for all the points we score, and I think it's 40.8. Is that right? Is that where we are? Somewhere around there per game.
more,
good.
maybe. Find out.
Yeah, good for top in the country. But what they were saying was, when you see somebody score a lot like that, it's generally up tempo. Man, they're at the line of scrimmage. You can't get set. They're flying up and down the field. Heck, Vanderbilt huddles. They huddle. They don't over rush, to get what they do. They just kind of methodical with what they do, and that also shows itself in the time of possession. And then the other thing is Vanderbilt, if they get in the red zone, they're going into the end zone.
Yeah.
They're very efficient with the football, and I would say nobody stopped them. I know Alabama held them to 14, but again, 2 red zone turnovers really kind of thwarted all that. There's been very few times where hardly anybody has really much even slowed this offense down. And when you provide the balance, and Diego may be playing his best football right now, look, there's a lot of things about this matchup between these two teams that are very close. And I respect Missouri, and absolutely they can win this football game. But taking my passion for the team out of it, if I just look at it position by position, I just think that simply put, Vanderbilt's the better football team here.
I was listening, is a tangent here, to a podcast this morning. I think it might have been ESPN Game Day. I never thought about this. Do you know the slowest tempo team in the country is right now?
In the country,
Yeah,
man, Kentucky,
it's Ohio State,
Ohio State. Well, that makes sense.
which seems well. Okay. Explain. I want to hear your take on it
Well,
because
I mean, look,
the take that I heard I'd never thought of.
it's more along the for me. It's about this. That what I said is along about this. If there's a better defense in college football than Ohio State's, I need to see it. And their
Yeah.
game plan, they don't have to look when you have to worry about outscoring opponents, when you have to worry about manufacturing points and time of possession, you got to change who you are. But they don't have to do any of that because they know their defense isn't giving up anything. And it almost doesn't matter who they're playing. They know that when they go out on the field, man, if Julian's saying in this offense can give me 17 points, we've already won.
Yeah.
That changes everything about the game for a team.
I don't know if that's the reason or if it has absolutely not, because usually if you're the better team, which Ohio State may be the best team in the country, usually running more plays is to your advantage. Because if I'm, better than you and we're doing 50 snaps a game each side, you got a better chance to beat me.
You do.
If we're running 70 snaps, then I got a better chance to beat you if I'm the better team. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
But and I've been watching the Connor Stallions documentary a little bit here and there, but kind of half tuned in. But I would have to go back and look. But they brought up on game day that might be the reason they did it, was because if you huddle, nobody's getting your signs. If you bring them in or whatever, you know what I mean? I'd never thought of that.
But it's amazing to watch because Vanderbilt is so efficient with their opportunities. It doesn't even matter that they huddle. I mean, it's not like they take it down to one on the play clock every time, but because their success rate is so high with the way that they're doing it, and again, they don't have, could they? Yeah, they probably could, but they don't have to. They simply don't have to. And Ohio State certainly does not have to. I mean, they can kind of dictate everything because they know you're not scoring.
Well, the issue with Poppy, like you could have the plays and you still don't know what Diego's going to do in a split second.
I don't know if Diego knows what he's going to do in a split second.
He may not, but it tends to work out for him.
But
right?
He does it right. I mean, he sees things. And there was so much criticism about arm strength, and I have almost never seen that come to play in a game with him in there, where it's just, oh, he just can't make that throw. Look, they don't do a ton of 60-yard throws, things like that, but everything I've ever said, his velocity is fine. When he first started being the quarterback of Vanderbilt, a lot of people think, well, we're worried about his arm strength, and I've not seen that come into play for the most part since he's been there. And his decision making, and he sees the field, and like those two runs, one was for a touchdown, the other almost a touchdown, the first score of the game. I mean, his downfield vision is absolutely amazing. And because you factor that in with the fact that Tim Beck is constantly putting defense into decision and the offensive line is producing the way they are, it's amazing. I was listening to some numbers the other day on one of these comparison shows for Vanderbilt and Missouri, and they were talking about the grading out of Bryce Henderson and Isaiah Glass, and they said one's 170 in pass pro and the other's over 300, like Henderson was like 300. And I was like, okay, well, if there's ever been misleading stats, then this is it.
I'm glad. I respect Pro Football Focus for trying to do what it does. I don't know. First of all, the grades come out really early. Like, I don't know how you can look at their offensive line and these guys don't grade out better. Like, what was the stat? Did you listen to Clark Lee's podcast or podcast press conference?
Yes.
Yeah, where he talked about the yards yards before contact. I mean, they are getting almost 5 yards before contact. Now, some of that's Diego, taking that's different than a rushing play and maybe different than what your offensive line does, but that was a part of their offense last year. So the variable really hasn't changed other than maybe Diego played half the season hurt. Like, I don't get these offensive line grades that are getting generated for some of these.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's why I call them illegitimate. Now, these guys know what they're watching. There's no doubt. But sometimes,
hang on a minute. You say that you don't know what the play call is.
That's that. But here's the deal. To me, this is the thing. This is the number that just does not stack up because there's no way to make this right. And that's this. If Isaiah's 170 and Bryce Henderson's 35, I'm well aware that Diego Pavia is mobile. He's been sacked 5 times all year long.
Yeah.
Okay, and they throw the ball plenty, so it's not like it's just they run the ball 60 times, and that's why he hasn't been sacked. They throw the ball plenty. He's on the move plenty, and he's almost never under true duress or hit from the backside. So for a couple of guys who average out to be somewhere in the 220s for their tackles, they've given up 5 sacks, and that's not even counting interior pressure. 5 sacks all year long. I'm sorry, but if I've got the 300 and something right tackle and the 170 something left tackle, and I'm sitting there with these type of numbers at 6-1, and Diego's only been sacked 5 times, well, then that just tells me that's. I mean, I get it, and they've studied these things, and it's fine, but that does not add up. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, first of all, these grades come out quickly. So, like, I don't know how you could watch everything and get everything that. And again, I'm not knocking them. I'm glad they're doing it. You know, it's an effort that nobody else has tried, and it's filling. You know, it's attempting to fill a gap that we don't have. But to me, the way you would do it is say, okay, the team success is this. So now, where do we give the credit to the individuals? And I don't know how you do that for blocking, and maybe that's. You know, just another point in it. But anyway, we've got. I know you got to be out in about 23 minutes.
About 23 minutes. Got a mailbag today?
Well, we do, but I had one more thing before we get there.
Sure. Fire away.
And I know you're not going to be in the dark about this, but this Jared Curtis thing is getting pretty interesting.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, speaking of conversations we had no idea we'd be having at this point of the year, there's another one.
You know, I've never met Jared. I've seen him play a couple times. A very close relative of his was a dear friend of mine back in college. Matter of fact, I've probably been to more concerts with her than any other person on planet Earth. And so, you know, look, I submit that Jared is as good as I've seen in the state of Tennessee. Now, normally that wouldn't mean anything because forever we didn't have anybody coming out of the state of Tennessee. But, you know, now all of a sudden that's no longer true. Ty Simpson, and you know the talk is that Graham Simpson, his little brother, is going to be even better than Ty. I mean, he's going to break, and statistically, he's going to break every record that there ever was in this state. Graham will, if he stays healthy. There at Westview, the cheery kid at Baylor, who's headed, I think, to Louisville, if I remember correctly, a young man in Andre Adams, who we might not even have a place for. I mean, it's Marcel Reed, who's gone down to College Station and carved out a great career for himself there. So we've certainly amped it up, but Jared Curtis is the best I've seen in this state.
Like ever?
Who would I put ahead of him? In this state, we have not produced quarterbacks in this state forever.
Yeah, fair.
You know. And so now, I mean, you know, when am I going to say Engel Martin? You know, I mean, I love Engel, but no, he's not better than Jared Curtis.
Well, and I go back to the thing that I've said for a long time. That is the toughest kid to get, the one that is in your backyard that everybody wants. If you are Vanderbilt, this may be the first time that the atmosphere, and look, it's not where it needs to be. There was still too much purple in the stands last week. They got to build a culture, a season ticket base, and a lot of stuff. And I know LSU travels, and I get it, but it's still a place where you've got to get better as a program. But it's getting a lot better. The fans that they were loud, the students are electric. And like for once, you can bring a guy to a game on game day where the atmosphere is going to be incredible, I think. Because in the past, it used to be like coaches, like you didn't want to bring guys to games like this. Because, you know, the other team had the majority of the fans, and you were probably going to get clobbered, and the atmosphere was going to be bad. Like now, this is the first time they've ever been able to bring a kid like that to a game where the atmosphere is going to be in their favor, I think.
Well,
maybe not the first, but one of the few in very recent history.
Yeah, but I would also, it's in regards to like what you saw on Saturday, I would remind everybody that there are plenty of people who sold those tickets long before this season started.
Yeah, that's beside the point.
It's not. No, it's not.
I
No,
get
it's
what
not.
you're
It's not
saying.
even
Yes, it
remotely.
is.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
And because think about it like this. Let's just say you have a great run like we've had right there this year. Do you think those same people this time next summer, next spring, are going to be selling those tickets to other fan bases? There's no chance. They're keeping them from themselves. I'll give you a point. I can't get anybody. I've got like about 4 or 5 people that supply me with tickets and have forever, very good tickets. And I can't get a single ticket from any of them now. They hold on to everything. They don't sell them. They keep them for themselves. They love the atmosphere of First Bank, and they are unwilling. Now, even though we had a nice 6-6 year last year, there were still people that weren't sure and just thought I could make a little money here, and people are going to offer me a lot of money. But now these tickets are in demand from the people and the fan base here and the people that live in that city. And I just disagree with you. I think if we hold and keep doing what we're doing this time, you will not see that next year.
Okay, I will grant you that it's gone up to a different level. No question. But let's also be reminded that this is a team that went 7-6, beat a good team in a bowl game, brought back its quarterback, brought back a ton of guys, and then went and got a lot of dudes in the portal. So you could have known you might not have known we're going to be sitting here close to Halloween talking about playoffs as a realistic goal. I get that. But you should have known that your team was going to be a better team than you'd probably seen in 15 years. And I don't think the school, this wasn't where I was going, but I don't think the school did enough to promote. I think the school's priorities is somewhere elsewhere, and that's sourced.
Well, that won't be the case in the offseason. I can promise you that.
Well,
and how many times last year, even though it was, all those variables were true, how many discussions were we having about the CFP? About if we can get it, should we want to play in the SEC championship and all these other things? We were a mid-rung team. We were better than we've been, but we were mid-rung. Now we're on the lips of every freaking body in America, and we're talking about hosting 5 stars and flipping them and all these other things. And people love winners, and they want to be associated with them. And if you remember, and this people now know exactly what First Bank is like and the experience is like. It is it's just like going to the club and a football game breaks out. It's amazing, and people love that, and they want to be around it. So this time around, I'm telling you, in the offseason, those people that sold those tickets to LSU fans and whoever you want to name, they'll be holding on to those next year. I believe that with everything I've got.
I hope you're right, and you probably are. We'll see. Next year will be a different team. Expectations will be different, but my point is they've got to get the culture. They got to finish off that part. So
they do, but right now you got students who are there for 11 o'clock kickoffs.
Right. I get it. I'm not arguing any of that. I'm just saying that is the next step they have to take, because every other program in the league basically is there but them.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
Hey, 2 things. I'm going to get to the mailbag because you got 17 minutes by my clock. I'm going to have to plug my camera into it. I use my iPhone as my camera here. And when I plug it into a power source, the problem is if I get a call, and I get a ton of spam calls these days, then it ejects the broadcast and freezes me, and I have to take that out. But if I don't do that, then I'm going to be out of battery soon. So I'm going to get into the mailbag and do that. If that happens, I'll make an adjustment and get back here.
You want me to sing to the audience while you're adjusting?
Well, no. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give our sponsors the credit they deserve, and then I'm going to dive into the mailbag and give you a minute or 2 to filibuster while I do what I'm going to need to do on that end. Our mailbag is brought to you by Sutherland & Belk, a family-owned injury law firm. If your loved one has been hurt in an accident, give Taylor or Russell a call, 615-846-6200. See what your rights are and if they can help. They are the longest-running original sponsor of the show. And frankly, if they weren't here, I think I'd have folded this podcast a couple of years ago. Guest line is presented by John Levin and Womble Bond Dickinson. Also, Yeaman Packaging Systems, leaders in end-of-line packaging automation. Those guys are also friends of the show. We appreciate their sponsorships too. Okay, let me pull up the mailbag. That's gotten pushed down the page.
I'm smiling because I can't stop looking at that slug.
I know. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Nash native, how many draft caliber players are on the team this year?
Ooh.
Is it best in modern Vanderbilt? Is it the best in modern Vanderbilt history?
Ooh. I mean, we've had a couple teams that had a whole bunch with, the Jordan Matthews and whatnot, and the Zach Stacy and some of those, and all those, and Casey and all those. But how many? You got to help me on this, Chris. As far as draftable goes, obviously Eli. I mean, I think we know that. I think there could be a spot if Cole Spence continues to develop for somebody like Cole Spence as somebody's tight end 3, possibly Jordan White for sure. Jordan White, as you know, other than Diego, is my second. He's my second favorite player on this team, and I love watching him. I think that on the offensive side of the football, I mean. Of course, Cade McConnell's gotten very famous lately, and I watched him throughout that game. And I didn't really pay all that much attention to him, but I sure do like what I've seen out of him. I don't think we have anybody in the receiving corps that would fit that bill. On the defensive side of the ball, boy, a guy who, if he were healthy, I love the trajectory and the physical traits of a guy like Issa Wataha. But injuries took this season away. It'll be interesting to see what happens as far as that goes. A guy like Corday Sindor. Corday Sindor has been a fantastic player. I think there's a possibility he could find himself in the league. I think we've got a lot of talented players in the secondary. Of course, Martell, stuff like that. How many of them are NFL quality? I'm not sure. I look at this team and I don't see just NFL players all the time, all over the field. But what I do see is a team that is dialed in and has all bought in, and they, to me, are more of a college team than they are a bunch of pro prospects, to be real honest. I mean, we had some on there. And I would also tell you that, Colby Taylor, who's from the physical traits of things. I think if there's a defensive back coach out there and says, I think I can do something with this guy. He's the guy you put on the number 1 receiver sometimes. And he's certainly physical. If he can clean a few things up, I think he'd have a chance to play somewhere in the NFL for a little bit. So those are some of the guys, and then I think Brock Taylor's an NFL kicker, to be real honest with you. So I would certainly throw him in there as well. But those are just some of the guys that I would look at and say that, yeah, they have a chance to make it into the league.
Next one, Denver Door. As we move into the back half of the season, which position group are you most worried about?
I mean, I think most people would generally say the secondary. Yeah, I mean, if they've not been terrible, but I mean, the rest of the units have been so good. I mean, who would I possibly say on offense? I mean, we are so balanced there. It's not going to be that side of the ball, and we had a heck of a core of linebackers, and we get to the quarterback even when we don't rush more than 4. So, I mean, by process of elimination, I got to say the secondary, but I don't hate the secondary, and as I take a look at these teams going forward, I mean, am I scared of Arch Manning? No. Am I scared of Kentucky's passing game? No. Am I scared of Jackson Arnold passing the football? No. I mean, really. And Bo Prevula, like I said, throws it to the other team a whole lot. So not that he's not capable and he can run too, but I mean, by far, I guess, as far as the passing game goes, especially with Frizzell and Matthews, rest of the way, the only one that really scares me a little bit is Tennessee. But I guess if I had to pick a group, it's the secondary. And again, I don't think they're playing terrible. I just think that the units in front of them are playing better.
Devillion Door wants to know why you're not on the board, which I believe you are on the board.
I am on the board. On the board. I go by C Diddy 76, but I don't start topics generally, and I don't post unless I have something to say. But no, I'm on the board as C Diddy 76. Yeah, I like that dude, by the way, man.
Yeah, I do too. I think
I've always called him Devil Line. Is that what it is? Devillion? Okay. I thought it was Devil Line.
Never thought of it that way. I mean, it might be. I don't know. I've never asked him.
Okay. He's a good guy, man. I like him. He's good dude.
Yeah, he's good for the board. Jerry Lawless 3. Is it me or has the offense been less gimmicky this year? A lot of Pavia magic. Last year felt like every other play was a trick play. Think about what this means for whoever's quarterback next year.
I think that's probably right. Don't you? But for one, I think just the physical nature of our offensive line, especially run block. I mean, we're going with what works because maybe last year we thought, at least initially, we had to do some of those things, but we don't have to do that now to beat SEC teams. We can come right at them.
Yeah. Okay, couple more. Gills Master would love to hear you talk about Pavia and how Vanderbilt has a legitimate Heisman candidate.
Oh, they certainly have a legitimate Heisman candidate at this point, at this trajectory. Would I want to give it to him? Sure, I would. I would say this. I'm a big Fernando Mendoza fan.
Mm-hmm.
Which duh. Right? I mean, yeah, of course. Who's not? But he's such a player, man. He's so clutch. I like him quite a bit. I mean, I guess. Look, I think now you may disagree with this. I think there's a top 3 right now. I do. What that order looks like.
Simpson, right? Pavia, and maybe Dante Moore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, Moore getting beat at home by Mendoza, and Indiana as a whole hurt a little bit. There's no doubt. Simpson beating Pavia hurts him a little bit. I don't think you could go wrong. I don't want to do it because of the story. I want to do it because someone has earned it, and look. The Heisman, how often does the Heisman truly go to the best football player in college football? Almost never.
Yeah.
Because we are basically a 2-position Heisman Trophy awarder for the most part. There's not a running back's not going to do it. Matt Hardy's not going to win the Heisman Trophy. There's Jeremiah Smith is not going to win it. It's going to be one of these quarterbacks, and I think it's going to be the ones that keep winning. Yeah. But I think between Simpson, Mendoza, and Pavia, if I had to bet, I'd give you the field and take them.
Yeah, I think Pavia's big issue is if it comes down to, like just a few guys, and he's on that list, and one of them is Ty Simpson, the head-to-head is going to be hard to overcome.
Yeah, because I don't see Alabama
fairly or unfairly. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, and is it fair? Sure, a little bit. But, Ty Simpson wasn't going up against Diego Pavia. He was going up against the Vanderbilt defense and vice versa.
Right. Which is kind of one reason I sort of hate that comparison, but at the same time, I kind of get it. Right.
Yeah. So I get it. But
one guy made more plays than the other in that game. And it was a game of significance. So I would get it. But anyway.
My heart would go with Diego, and he's certainly deserving. My head would go with Fernando Mendoza if I had a vote and I were voting today.
Yeah.
I would probably go Mendoza, Simpson, Pavia. 1, 2, 3.
Two quick ones. VU Hicks 66. Do you like the quick side, strong side concept for the offensive line?
Yeah, I do, because, and at first, if you just look at it and you think, well, okay, so if I've got Henderson over here and I got Glass over here, then I know, where they're trying to go. But the reality is, just because they're on that side doesn't mean that's the deal. You've got when you're pulling out and flat and things like that, just because I see the strong side right there doesn't mean that there's a run coming right there. You know what I mean? Right. So even though what the strengths of each side of those are, it doesn't guarantee where the ball's going and what it's going to be. So, yeah, but it's been giving. I mean, clearly it gives defenses trouble, but you have to have the personnel to make that go, and they do.
Charleston alum, this will be the last one. What does scheme do to neutralize their superb edge defenders?
I think a lot of shifting of protection, some 12 personnel, and shifting of protections is what you got to do. Maybe start out to see if you can handle wood on your own, and if not, you shift protections. I mean, that's just, that's going to unfold, I think, as the game goes on. I mean, he's a terrific player. I think he's, what's he got? 6 or 7 sacks this year already. Something like that. He's a player. He's an energetic dude.
Which one are you talking about? Zion?
Zion Wood.
Oh, yeah, that's not his name, is it?
Isn't it? Isn't it Wood? I know Zion Wood and Damon Wilson.
Now you've messed me up. Damon Wilson and
I thought Zion's last. Young. That's Young.
Zion Young. Now,
Zion Young. I
that's
said Wood, didn't I? Yeah.
So I was like, I
Zion Young.
thought you were talking about Jalen Wood.
Yeah,
Like,
that's on me, not you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a terrific player. He's going to be all day long, but I have a feeling number 2 is going to be yakking right back at him again. But if we see, if 55 or 72 have a hard time, because they're going to be moving them around, I think that's where somebody like Cole Spence comes in and shines. He's a monster blocker.
Yeah, it's 4:31. I told you we'd get you out of here on time. Anything on your way out?
Again, I know y'all saw that in the first part. That was not me. I swear somebody must have put that in my phone. I did not do that. So don't judge me for that. But you know what? This is, I mean, I know every next game is the biggest game of the year. I understand all that. But this is such a unique matchup because you're going to have to be hard-pressed to find a team. 2 teams that are more alike, a couple of black and gold 6-1 teams who nobody thought would be here like this, who've only lost to Bama, with everything in front of them, but everything on the line. A couple of coaches who both you wondered if they would even be here at this point. For Clark before last year, and before that, that was it. They went back to back 10-3 and 11-2, I think it was. I think he went like 6-7, and then he was the most likely person to be fired in the SEC going into that season. And both of them have turned those things around. And I've got a ton of respect for this program. I don't like their fan base at all. I don't want to hear a whole lot of MIZ going on this Saturday. I want to shut that down. But I think it's a good thing that the game day's here, because this is going to be the most entertaining game on the ledger, I think, in the entire country. It's the best game of the week, I think.
All right, we both got to get out of here. Hey, leave us a rating where you do that. A thumbs up here. I will clean this up, I think, so people can get it on the replay. The audio version, I know I can clean up. The video,
yeah, do that, because I said some bad stuff about you while that camera was on.
I'm sure it was all fair. Anyway,
sure.
Hey, thanks, man. We'll thank you for joining us, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
You're the one. Anchor down. Go Doors.
All right, you've been watching the Vandy 24/7 podcast presented by FanDuel.